anyone here have any specific questions or ways I can help them off the top of their head? I'm sure once we dive into start frames, people might have more stuff, but before we get into that, is there any way I can help any of you here?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when we're in the scene editor and you have a character and it gives you 3 or 4 different versions of that character in the scene, is there any way that we can prompt the character that we want used that's in the characters list in the director's notes to replace the characters in that scene that aren't supposed to be there?
The answer's most likely yes, meaning I want to show you how, but I'd rather do it on your actual scene. Do you mind if I share my screen and actually share your project with some of the
Yeah,
folks?
go ahead.
Awesome. Okay, I'll dive in. Do you have a scene in particular, if you remember, where you were facing this?
No, I wasn't expecting you to go into that, but it's popping up on just about every scene. It happens.
Let's dive into, I'll pick a random scene. Let's go to scene 6 here. Okay, I don't think you've generated start frames yet for that one. So I'll generate start frames there. This charges us, not you. I'll give it a moment. So we'll generate these start frames and then let's see. Did you generate start frames for 5? Not yet. 4. Not yet. 3. Not yet. 2. 1. Oh, I feel like you did generate it for 1. Let me double check. No. Okay. No worries.
I was
Well,
trying to
find one you generated for.
I was trying to pull up a scene where it's really bad. It seems like there was one in the 60s range that is really bad. It pulls up an actual
Okay.
cartoon character.
Let's go to the 60s. Shot list. No. No. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find it. No. Do you let's see? Maybe you can check project details.
Yeah, I'm pulling up one, see if I can
Okay.
get
Yeah,
one.
let me go back now too, because I think potentially I think I generated on scene 7 here. Maybe this is scene 6. Yeah, so we're generating here. So it's going. So we'll touch it. I'll use Steve, yours is the live example.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I just had someone email in that they can't find the link. So let me respond to that super quickly. So Steve's thinking about start frames as well. So I guess this is good. Anyone else like with that has maybe a project you want me to look at as we dive into things today for anything, but on the topic of start frames as well? I'm sure we're eager to learn from Steve. So we'll learn from Steve's. I'm going to show you an example, actually. And Marnie is here. Me and Marnie were, I guess, yesterday for her, and for me, it was last night as well. We were talking back and forth about start frames. I have some cool insights from what that experience was like, what that journey was like, and how we were able to help troubleshoot it. Before we go into that, though, and then okay, Marnie, definitely on the failed shots. We are fixing that. I guess that's the right word. In reality, we're just like routing requests automatically to different models until one that's good accepts yours. We're still in the testing phase of it, but I imagine by the weekend we'll have an update that significantly reduces how often shots are failed. Our target is to reduce that number by 90% across the platform, because most of the shots that are being denied now are not because it violates any sort of content restriction. It's just being denied because the filter is overly sensitive. For another update we're working on right now, which is why I'm talking about start frames today, there's a few things actually I would love to hear from you all in terms of improving how we do the editing. And I'll walk through how you can even approach it now. But from a quality standpoint, underneath the hood, we're adding support for different camera shots and camera angles, and essentially just trying to up level the quality of the start frames by giving you even more control of what goes into it.
Sorry.
So we're in the testing phase of it still, so we're not ready to roll it out into any sort of beta or on the platform. You probably won't get an update from me either, at least at first when we release it. What we've been doing right now, at least when we release features, since we're in beta, is we just release it, and then a couple days later we make tweaks based on your feedback, and then I share it. So for instance, like wardrobe was technically live Friday night. Some of you all saw it pretty early. We made a lot of changes before we rolled it out Monday. This will be pretty similar, where probably in the next 48 hours, I'll roll out the update. But the broader list of people probably won't hear from me until the weekend. After beta, we're going to have a separate beta group who gets new features early, which you all are welcome to be a part of that. So still stay tuned on that with the start frames. So it's going to actually how we generate start frames is going to get you a better go on the first shot very shortly. But in the meantime, there's another issue with start frames, which is actually editing them. And I think there's like some things I'll teach you today that'll be helpful. And then I think there's some things that we're going to be doing and we can work together with you to figure out how we can make it simpler, because there's some things that once the tricks are really useful, and there's some things that we should just make simpler. So I'm going to cover all of that first, and then we'll dive into Steve's. And instead of just like diving into some slides, although that's never a bad thing, I'm going to show you Marnie's story, because it was actually Marnie's story that we were talking about last night. So first of all, I'm just going to share my screen here. Her story is beautiful, and it's gonna be such a fun animation to see on screen. You can see here the style she did was a custom prompt. So I don't know if Marnie's going to give away her secret sauce on how she achieved this, but it's awesome. This is also a call out to y'all while you're here. You can share your projects with anyone. We can't see your projects in the Movie Machine. Like even myself, like I can't just go in and randomly see your projects. You have to share it with us. You can share a project with me at hello@creatorwood.tv. And I'm very happy, and the team's very happy to go in and help you. Likewise, you can share your project with each other. Right now, I will let you know that if you share with a project with someone, they have editing access to it by default, which you might not be comfortable with. But we're going to be building out the sharing permissions so that there's view only as well, which will be very helpful for like just collaborating with people. So that's part one. Part two is then we can dive into these start frames. Marnie was having an issue, and I'll show you exactly what it was, because it's an issue that so many of you have had, where I think we were on scene 3 here. Exactly. These are the start frames that we started to improve, and they're looking a lot better than they were. You can see here, character consistency is pretty strong. This character, the one with the very pretty butterfly wings, is Briella. April is the character in this setting. She has the blonde hair and the blue shirt. And we can see here this interaction of, you've got Briella seeming to look at this covered object. Briella then interacting with April. She actually kisses her on the cheek, which is very sweet. This start frame, which Marnie has not completed this yet, and I did a good bit of work with her last night, but we could have even touched this up a little bit more. You can see here, and we can play this around this even now. Technically, this should be April on that right side of the shot, rather than it looks like Briella is looking back at herself. So we can fix that. Then we have Briella at her wardrobe, and you can see Briella is supposed to be tiny. So the aspect ratio, the perspective is pretty decent there. Now we have our new character, Scout, who Scout's looking really good in shot 8, 9, and 11. Shot 7, though, she doesn't have the same hairdo, right? So that's another issue. Shot 10, Briella doesn't look like Briella, so we need to fix that. And then I would say shot 12 is pretty good with Briella. I think that's pretty good. And then shot 13 is pretty good. So you can see there's some changes to make here. And I'm sure you all have seen this, right? The first thing, like I've said, is we are working on improving just the base quality of star frames so that it's more consistent. And it's not going to be perfect, but you should see an improvement over the next couple days. And once we've achieved that improvement after some final testing, we'll share it with everyone. Now, in the long run, I could talk about some ways that we can improve start frames even more. Think like automated checks, where we regenerate start frames to you automatically after looking at the start frame and doing like consistency checks, which is something that we will do at some point. We haven't built yet. So there's things that will come that makes this even easier. But even if we built like the most perfect system ever, there would still be some tweaks you'd probably want to make to start frames. And the question becomes, how do you do that without spending a bunch of coins and a bunch of time? So let's see what Marnie was doing before we learned some of these tricks. So This was not the original start frame for shot 3. In fact, there was 13 generated, and we could see the first one generated here. And I think we can tell the issue here. This shot 3 does not at all line up with shot 1, right? Briella has black hair here. She has black hair here, but it's done in a bun. That's not exactly what we're intending. Likewise, Briella also has the wrong color wings, right? These are wings that are just like clear color, translucent. That's not what we want. So that's a problem here. And we could see the progression of how Marnie was editing it. This one seems like she tried to make a change, but just didn't. I don't think this is a change she wanted. I wasn't agreeing with her. Next change also was pretty minimal. Looks like she uploaded a reference image here, and she likely uploaded the reference image of her character, right? So if we go to the director's notes, we can see this is Briella. And she likely uploaded this reference image, is what I'm guessing. Which, don't worry, I'm not messing up your story, Marnie. We're going to keep all the same characters checked. But that's interesting, right? So she uploads as a reference. I'm just completely guessing, by the way, but I have a feeling that's what happened. Don't worry, we're gonna select that end shot. We're going back. We're telling the story here, and that's not at all what you intended. So that's very annoying to have, like, essentially you upload a reference image, then it becomes a reference image. So that's not fun. Next shot, we're back to square one here. So we're 4 shots in, and we're still dealing with the same problem. Which, to be clear, this is sometimes how AI is. My goal is by the end of the day to help you not have to generate 13 times, but maybe you generate 4 times with less frustration. That's my goal by the end of today with this workshop. But you can see here, we're at image 4, back square 0. And I'm spending time showing you this too, to let you know, we've heard from so many of you, and many of you are facing this problem. It's why I'm doing this as our topic of the research today, or sorry, workshop today. It's why we're making this improvement to the platform. You're not alone if you're facing this issue. And we can see here. Now, this one kind of went off in left field because it looks a little bit more red, the butterfly wings, but bye-bye, Briella. That doesn't look at all like her. Now we're back to square one again. Now this is when I think I started to help out here. Because this was, maybe it was this one I started helping out with, but we're seeing like the times of like last night. Maybe I started helping out before. I could have done a lot of these, who knows? But I do know at least around 7:20 last night, this is West Coast time, we were jumping in here. And I was noticing the problem as well. And the steps I took to solve it were pretty simple. The first thing I did, and how I think about this, is I try and address when a start frame is not how we want it, I try and address one problem at a time. If I try and fix many things at once, sometimes it just, again, completely goes in left field and doesn't do what I want to do. So I try and think about how can I get to one victory at a time and iterate from there. So this shot was about how do we get her hair? How do we get her hair to look better again? So I'll show you exactly what I did to do it. I'm not going to do it again because I do not want to mess up your project, Marty.
Hello?
We achieved what we wanted to. Oh, yes. I think someone is trying to speak up. I heard something. That could have been background noise. No worries. Yeah, you're welcome. If you have a question, you can just stop me. What happened here is, to get this image, let me select the right one.
With local healthcare, you'll automatically be connected to the.
Sorry. So what I did was I saved this reference image here because we liked how she looked here. This felt like a really good start. So what I did is I saved this to my computer. So I right-clicked it and I said, Briella shot. Then what I did is I went to the shot that we wanted to fix, which in this case was shot 3. And at this point, I just wanted to fix her hair, right? Because going from hair down to bun within a span of 4 seconds does not make sense. So what I then did was I clicked edit, because we were generally happy it was this version of the image that we were playing around with. We weren't super unhappy with this. Like, the issue was, again, wings, hair, some of that character consistency. So then the question became, how do we solve for that? So I uploaded that image and I said, can you change her hair to not be curled up, to be down, matching the reference image? And did a pretty good job at that. But that still wasn't what we were looking for. So I then said, hey, can you make her have the sort of red wings, did better with that. Then we were able to do red wings with the hair down. Then I didn't like the hair down as much as I liked it curled because I thought that was more indicative. So I just asked it to make her hair more wavy, more curly. And then now we achieved pretty good character consistency, but we're missing one last component, which is the red heels. And that's the version we're sticking with. What you'll notice through this progression here is I'm asking it to make one granular change at a time. That's what's working well with it right now. I want to be clear that what I'm sharing here is not the forever all rules of how to use AI. I think that things could easily change. And in 3 months, I might be like, y'all, you can input 3 changes at once and it's going to do great at following it. That can happen. But view it, and I mentioned this during the summit, which many of you were at, view it like a really dumb intern who needs, maybe dumb's the wrong word, view it like a very almost like short-term memory loss, confused intern who needs like one instruction at a time. That's how I found you can iterate better towards the start frame you want. And this again was a lot better. Now, we're constantly working to make this easier. And what you'll notice here is some things that I'm thinking through and what I'd love your feedback on, because even if we make it underneath the hood, do better at getting you better start frames from step 1, which is important. It's very important. It still doesn't change the fact that you're going to still need to make some edits. And in my opinion, there's a few things here that we can do to make things easier. And I genuinely love your feedback. So I'm going to share these ideas. And if you like them, let me know, because we can literally build them in the next few days. This isn't me being hyperbolic. Like, we're working on this now, and I'd love to get your feedback on this. So what I'm thinking is, when we edit things, to me, I can tell you based on how our system works that the AI has an awareness of who the characters are. Okay. It does that because we store the image of Briella in our database, right? Director's notes. It knows what Briella looks like just by mentioning her name, because Briella is not just Briella, right? Briella is the character that has this voice, this image, this. So Briella is an object that contains many different fields within it. Now, that is not at all obvious if you didn't build the software. It's my hunch that you hit this edit field and get lost. So the first thing I think we need to add is the ability to tag a character, object, or setting in here, so that you can literally just say, hey, like, I want to change this character, right? I'm referencing this part of the image because there's multiple parts in a start frame. I think that'll be helpful. Now, the next thing that I think we should add here, in addition to tagging, is right now you have to do this kind of weird process of downloading and uploading a reference image if it's an existing shot. We did add the ability for you to see past shots if that start frames, like past start frames, you can use as reference images. So you could say, here's my previous start frame. I want you to make at Briella have blank hair. Okay, we're getting somewhere there, but I still don't think that's fully indicative. So what we're looking to do is add the ability for you also to very easily one click reference other shots that are in your scene, right? So I want this to look more like start frame 1. I want it to look like at Briella in start frame 2, right? These are changes, 2 of them, that we're thinking of making. Now, the last thing that we would be curious to do is essentially knowing that so much of start frames comes down to consistency. This is like a reach feature, but something that I think could be cool, that I'd be curious your feedback on, is, in my opinion, it seems like most of your edits to start frames are consistency. It's not necessarily you thinking creatively, which is how we want you thinking about it. And, ooh, what if I change this to change that? It's, nope, this isn't consistent. I need to make it consistent. So what we could do is proactively say, hey, you can do a consistency run where we reference the other shots automatically around it to then go, hey, make this character look more these shots, like just the character consistency angle, right? So you can do a character consistency, reference those shots, or object consistency, or like setting consistency, reference these shots. And that can be ways that we achieve that. So essentially, like, at Briella, tag 3 shots, make it more consistent. I'm curious if, like, you all think those types of improvements might make this easier to use and easier to get what you're looking for. Because essentially, I just showed you the roundabout long way to achieve what I think we could maybe make simpler. So I'm curious if that's something that people makes sense to people, that people might want to see, because then we can definitely prioritize that. I'll stop sharing my screen now. So treat AI like it lacks intelligence, what Joseph says. When you edit, can you have the current prompt AI is using in text? We can edit it. Yeah, we can definitely pull forward some more of that with you. Candidly, it's a very long prompt. So I think we can definitely do like a summary of it and abstract that summary to you, because the prompt itself is on average going to be pretty long and referencing a lot of different variables with the start frame. But I really like that, Joseph. So let me write that down, because I think we can definitely do that. So start frame entities. Yeah, I'll definitely write that down, Joseph. Next, I like that. Great. Does anyone else have feedback, questions
Michael, I have a question.
on this front? Hey, Paul. Yeah, what's up?
Yep. I just noticed in the shots that you were editing there, I'm sorry, I forgot the young lady's name, but I noticed that you maintained the consistency in the background and the object, and you're just able to make changes to the character, particularly the character's hair. But when I'm trying to like edit for consistency in my start frames, I'm finding that if I change one thing, it'll actually regenerate a whole new image, or not even regenerate, but edit, but it won't be the same background, for example, or when I give different wardrobe and the characters will be in opposite positions. So I'm not sure, like, how did you maintain that background consistency and object consistency?
Yeah. So, Paul, are you clicking regenerate or edit?
I first I was clicking edit, and every time I edited, it just came out different. So finally, I'm just going to regenerate it from scratch, and ended up losing everything that I had worked on before. So I was a little bit frustrated about that. But every time I try and edit the image, it makes small changes and things get moved around, and I'm just not sure what I'm doing incorrectly.
So, what I would do is use an existing version as a reference. I would use a version that has other things you're happy with. So if we're happy, don't worry, I'm not going to actually run this, Marnie. If you're happy with this image, but you're not happy with her hair, I would use this as the existing reference and then say, hey, can you put her hair down? I would try that and see if that leads to an improvement, Paul.
Okay, so basically you just have to download the image and then
Nope.
bring
So
it in
we
as
actually,
reference image.
if it's in your shot for that specific start frame, if your initial start frame is anything, right? You can then reference that initial start frame just in this drop down. And you can see the prompt. This is every change you made here. So it's telling you the change you made. So you can say, this is version 1. This is the beginning. So you can take version 1, the first start frame, use it as a reference, and then say, I want to change blank about it.
Okay, I'll give that a try. I think I lost all my previous versions when I regenerated, so back at square one.
Okay. Have you shared your project with hello@creatorwood.tv yet?
I've uploaded the script and all that, so it's got scene one's got all the storyboard stuff created. But
If you
it's the
can-
opening shot that I'm having issues with.
Yeah, no, totally. If you can share your project with us, right? We should be able to get back those images. I don't know what exactly happened there. It could be a retrieval issue. Who knows? But we should be able to get it for you, because it's not like we're deleting anything. So why don't you share your project with us? You just click that share button in the upper right-hand corner, type in hello@creatorwood.tv, and then I can take a look at it.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Yeah, of course. Let me stop sharing. Marnie says, the issue for me is knowing how to phrase my prompts so that AI knows what I'm talking about. Like, you managed to get Brielle the right size in shot 4, which I haven't yet been able to manage. Yeah, no, Marnie, that's a great point. Yeah, I think ultimately, I think trying to use natural language, like how you would normally speak, is the place to start. And then if it's not working, tell us what you're inputting and we can try and help you through it. If you're like very specific, hey, I'm inputting this and it's coming out with this. I want this instead. I don't want to look like that. I want this to look instead. We can try and help you through it, because it is like sometimes very individual. But our goal ultimately is to try and decrease this delta. So over time, we want to keep making improvements to the editing to make it so that you don't have to become an expert at prompting. Trisha says, ChatGPT, I sometimes have to tell it what to change and spell out what is wrong. Otherwise, it incorporates the wrong item into what I'm telling it to change, and it mixes the two commands to make poor results. Yeah, that can totally happen. Being granular can really help, granular and specific. Francine says, I want these characters to use and follow the dialogue in my script, which I've downloaded, and keep the shots the same for about 5 shots in a row. How do I do this? Do I have to copy the dialogue into the tracking shot? Okay. The changing dialogue in scripts. Let me see when you process, Francine. I'm just checking the back end. 1 second.
Okay.
Let's see here. Cool. And then account spending. Cool.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Hello.
Okay, great. Okay, so really, it's pretty simple. I'm just doing a cold open that's about 90 seconds. It's maybe 7 pages of script, 2 characters facing each other, and the dialogue will come from the cold open. I just don't know how to set that up. There should only be really 2 shots necessary, one for continuing dialogue, and right at the close, you're going to see an action shot right before it fades. So I just don't know even how to get that started.
Do you give me permission,
Yes,
Francine,
sure
to
do.
share your
All the
story?
permission you need. Yeah,
Okay, let me share with everyone.
appreciate it.
So we got it loading here.
Okay.
So let me call out something about your story that
Okay.
it's not your specific story. Let me be clear, actually. Let me call about something about when you processed and a change you made. Oh, actually, I'm getting an error. Either we're making an update right now, the team is, or something else is happening, but I'll see what's up. What I've noticed is scripts, the dialogue was being adapted to try and fit our shot lengths, but that's not at all what people wanted.
Right.
So we updated our processing so that doesn't happen anymore.
Okay.
We updated it after you process your story.
Okay.
If you want, I'll give you back all the coins you spent so far in your project, and
Oh,
you can
okay.
reprocess again if you want. Otherwise, we can go through the sort of more granular way to change it. Now, if I was you, I would wait a couple more days to actually,
Okay.
I'm happy to give you back the coins now if you want your coins back, but I would wait a couple more days to process until you hear from me about the script ingest update, because essentially
Okay.
we actually built this originally for novels, which is funny. A lot of people started uploading scripts, which is great. And through that process, we've now nailed down a ton of different ways to make scripts better. So we are going to be updating that within the next, let's call it 7 days. I'm hoping we
Okay.
can get it out by end of week, but definitely by this time next week. When we do that, I think you'll see a much better quality of the storyboard, ultimately adhering to your script when that update's out. So what I'll do, if you say yes, is give you back your coins right now that you spent on this project. You're welcome to continue with this project. It's yours. But then you upload a new project in about a week's time, and I think you'll see a lot more improvement, and you'll be able to do 2 important things. One is the storyboard, hopefully, is just a lot quicker to edit, right? But then the
Yeah.
second thing is, if you like these characters you have here, because you've worked hard on them, you can download them, right? Just download, save, and upload into your new project their images, and you'll be ready to go. I'm also very happy, Francine, when the time comes and you're setting up the new project, to hop on a call with you and help transfer anything from here to there that we need to.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need a lot of help now for going. I just want to save right now 2 of the characters for the continuing, like I don't know, tracking shot. And so it's really simple. It's only going to be like one continuous scene between 2, and then one shot at the end that's going to show something else with one of the characters. So it's pretty simple, but the way it is now, I can't work it. I can't use the script.
Totally. So let's do that re-ingest. Another thing to call out, let me put my link, Francine, if you can schedule, I'm going to put it in the chat, some
Okay.
time with me one-on-one next week where we can
Okay.
set up this transfer. We'll figure out, but we'll just make it happen. So let me just
Okay. So
send you my link in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you can schedule a time with me. We'll dive deep one-on-one. and get this fixed. And then
Yeah, I'm ready.
if you go to the Zoom chat, you should see a link that says chat with Michael. Schedule that time for me and you to dive in.
Okay, I'm looking for it. Oh, okay, here we go. I got it. Okay.
Epic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then next week I'll try to get hold of you, then hopefully we can
Y-
fix it.
Yeah, actually, because I'm thinking I'm out of office, which is
Oh,
rare, Monday through Wednesday. Try to do it this Friday. And if we're not ready by Friday, then we can reschedule to next Thursday or Friday. But I'd love to get this ready for you as soon as possible. But there's another important caveat to mention that I think you're probably struggling with. It's not
okay,
you, it's not your fault, but that we can help you with. And this is helpful learning lesson for everyone. Right now, the AI has a limit on how long a shot can be. It's 4, 6, or 8 seconds. 5 seconds is coming shortly. But it's where's 10, where's 15, where's 30 seconds? 10 we'll be able to nail pretty quickly, but something that's longer than like 20 seconds is a far way off. What's tough about that is you might have these very continuous parts where like it really is one shot, right? And it is one conversation being had. In the short term, that is a limitation right now where we're at. And the
Mhm.
two things I encourage you to do are like try generating with the start frames being similar, and you might be happy. If you get two start frames that are,
Okay,
if you get two start frames back to back, like 8 seconds, and there's similar start frames, it'll probably look like one shot.
that's fine. That's
And
fine.
it should output well. And if it doesn't output, we're happy to give you the coins back and we're happy to try and figure out why. But I'll just put on your radar. That's a problem we're aware of. I can't put a timeline on it, but think not a year from now, not a week from now, but somewhere in between, which is, I guess, pretty vague. But at some point in the near-ish future, we're going to have the ability for you to set up longer tracking shots by basically
Okay,
grouping shots together very easily so that we could basically
okay,
these four
got it.
shots are using the same start frame and we're feeding the end of shot 2 as the start frame to shot 3. And then the
Okay,
end of shot 3 is the start frame of shot 4. We can do that and I think it will work well, but it's just going to take us some time to build and test that. So for
okay,
now, there's this workaround and this limitation, but in the future, we hope to be able to expand your horizons there.
okay, great. Okay, I'll talk to you hopefully Friday, or we'll figure another time coming up then, right?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. And we're going to dive into Stevens shortly here. I want to make sure I'm covering all the comments, which I'm so grateful for you all being here. But Marnie says, in the beginning of shot 2, I was trying to get the AI to close the doors and drawers. I then gave up on that and started working on Briella, which is when Michael came to the rescue. Yeah, I mean, there's two things that are true about Creatorwood. One is that there is a learning curve, and once you get the hang of it, like your first film, your first scene, your first movie is going to be the hardest, and it gets easier from there. But the second thing, and maybe y'all have seen other spaces in AI closely, but I think we're where like maybe coding was a year ago, where like AI coding as a discipline started to get really interesting and pretty cool a year ago. But there was a lot of things from taking something from, ooh, help me build a website. Okay, I can build you a really cool landing page quickly, but it might still like mess up this backend feature or this one thing you want to do. And it wasn't incredible, meaning it was really good. It was like remarkable how quickly you do something, but that last 5%, which is important, it was struggling with, and it was like pulling teeth. Flash forward 8 months, and that it's a very different world now. It's remarkably better. I think we're at the point now where video is viable, but if we look forward 6 months, it's going to require less skill to get what you want, if that makes sense. There's a skill of AI filmmaking that's required right now, in addition to your what is the best talent of being a storyteller. I think the importance of AI filmmaking and just continued importance of storytelling is going to diverge, where just being a great storyteller is going to be number one thing always. And learning all the nits and grits of AI filmmaking is going to become less important over time. And literally every week, it's going to become less important as we improve what we're doing. So in the meantime, like there are some little skills that are still helpful. They're never going to go away, and it's cool that you know this, but it'll be less important to get what you want, Marnie. So if you're facing that, like it makes sense. I've been doing this not forever. No one's been doing it forever, but I've probably been doing it longer than some of you here. And I've learned a few tips or tricks through that. But ultimately, like, our goal is to not, I don't want people in the future to have to attend this workshop with me to learn how to do start frames. I'm really grateful for y'all being here, and I think hopefully what you learn is going to be very valuable for a very long time, but our goal is for that not to be the case. So that's why we want you to reach out to us in the meantime, because the only way we know when something's blocking you is either like looking at the data and going, okay, this seems like this person was having a problem, or you actually reaching out to us, which we actually prefer you reaching out to us because it adds a lot more color to what the problem was. With that said, let's get it through the editor. So yeah, Marnie, the audio is going to be fixed soon for like the background audio. The background audio is like having this thing now. We're updating the editor entirely by end of week. So it'll have a new look, new feel. You'll also be able to delete the black shots. It's in a little bit of a rough state right now, but that update's like coming. Stay tuned. I'm going to try and get an update in an hour on where we're at with that. And then what I'll do is, I feel like we can definitely spend 15 minutes on this, but maybe we'll spend 10 and do another 5 minutes for questions. But let's dive into Steve's story again. Let me just pull it back up. And here we go. Beautiful. Awesome. Okay. So just making sure this is the right one. Yeah, this should be good. Great. Great. So you're saying scene 42. Let's
Yeah, 42.
Awesome.
And then if you scroll down to shots 13 through 18.
Okay, here we are.
Okay, so shot 13, 17, and 18, that's all supposed to be one character. Obviously, he's got 3 different looks. I need him to be shot
Yeah, he
17,
does.
but this is happening throughout the film. So I need to figure out if there's a way I can click on a shot that he's not supposed to be and type in, I need this character to be Jimmy John from the director's notes.
Yep. We're going to make that much easier to do. In the meantime, let's see here. So this is Jimmy John. I just want to make sure I understand exactly what he looks like in the director's notes. This is Jimmy John. Beautiful.
That's him, yeah.
So I'm going to download this. Let's go back to the storyboard, back to scene 42. So I'm going to first look at what might be causing this, because it's weird, right? And ultimately, we'd love to try and prevent this before it happens. So this, when did you generate these start frames, Steve, over the weekend? Yeah, that. Okay. Okay. So interesting. Cool. 13, 14.
It looks like 16 and 17. He's the same guy, just wearing different apparel. But there's one scene, I can't find it. I was trying to find it for you, where he's what looks like what he is in 16, but he has a cartoon character face.
You know what's interesting, Steve? Do you see here how it's shot 18? So you want shot 18 to have Jimmy John Patrick, is that right?
Correct. Shot 17.
And so shot 17 has him. So
The character in 17 needs to be the character that's in 18 and 13.
Perfect.
And it's happening with different characters throughout the film. I just need to figure out what's the best way to edit these.
No, absolutely.
Saving time. And I was wondering if there's just a way I could type in a prompt and say, I need this character to be Jimmy John from the director's notes. Or
yeah, so let's dive in. When I open up the storyboard here for shot 13, I see that this is the original version we want, which is great. Radio spheres look good. Object looks good. When you have more than 3 entities in a shot, it can start to confuse the AI, but I don't see that as an issue here. So what I'm going to do, just to try and rejigger the system right now, is, yeah, it's looking like Jimmy John the whole time. I'm not seeing any other characters in here. So I'm going to click save and regenerate.
now you mentioned that you're in storyboard. Do I need to be doing these edits in the storyboard or editor? Or does it matter?
You can do them in both.
Okay.
The storyboard is more structural for me. When I see big issues like what we just saw, I think something is wrong with the storyboard, which isn't your fault. but
Right.
something's wrong with the storyboard. When it's smaller things, like in the case of Marnie, where like Briella doesn't have the right hairdo or she's not wearing the right shoes, that's also an issue. But to me, those are like smaller edits we can make inside of the start frames. The storyboards where we can apply bigger changes. So let's scroll up, shot 13. There we go. Is that a little bit better?
Yes.
Great. So this is going to sound weird, y'all, but sometimes if it's something way off with your shot, the trick is going to be to go into the storyboard here and check your entities and see, is there something that could be confusing? And I did the check here. There's nothing confusing. And we just generated the start frame. And don't know what went wrong the first time, but sometimes you just got to give it a second kick and it works. Mind you, you shouldn't treat this thing like a slot machine. If the second try doesn't get you what you want, then there's something else happening. But you know, that fixed that one. So now let's go here. It looks like this is the same problem because he's not wearing the same wardrobe, and this still should be Jimmy John. Let's go and hit save and regenerate. Now,
Okay, so now what exactly are you hitting to solve this?
I'm hitting the arrow next to the save button and then hitting save and regenerate.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm going to go through every single shot with all of you here in this sequence because the solution might be a little bit different. So for this one, we'll go back and see if it worked here in a minute. But for this one, I already know the problem. It seems to be, is this what you want Shorty looking like? So this is,
That's Shorty right there right there, not down
Yeah.
below. Right there. That's Shorty.
that is Shorty, correct. So
That's Shorty. The other one's Jimmy John.
right now, this shot 15, I'm looking at Shorty and I'm looking at this shot. It says Shorty interjects firmly, trying to defend the callers in the team. This doesn't look like Shorty. So you want to change this too, don't you?
Yeah, I think where the problem is on that is it's not showing Shorty on there. That's what it is, because that's Shorty's line.
Great. I just hit save and regenerate there. We'll see what that does. Here you can see, I think we just improved this a good bit here. Shot 13.
Let's say it's shot 18.
We're gonna
Okay.
get there.
Okay.
Shot 13 now looks
Right.
like this.
Okay.
Shot 14 now looks
Yeah.
like this. I might have a comment on, there is still some little editing to do here, right? Like I think we'd want to switch the aspect ratio here where like the mic's on the left side. Maybe that's something for you to think about. There's smaller touch-ups potentially needed, but we're much closer to the right direction. So
Right.
now we have Shorty in shot 15.
Okay. Now you see that Shorty in 15?
That looks very odd, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if you compare him to what he looks like in 18, it's completely different.
I think it's, I see, because it's the background to like the background feels cartoonish here to me a
Yeah.
little, but the front's good. He looks good. It's just odd that
Right.
like a little, that might be again another little edit touch up. Hey, make the background more photorealistic. Not bad though. So we're gonna head to shot 18. I'm just going in sequence. So that
Okay.
shot 15, shot 16. Yep, let's just go hit that regenerate button again. I promise everyone we're gonna in the end see that. So you're happy with shot 17, we'll keep it. Now we're on shot 18. So this should be Shorty. This looks nothing like Shorty. This is funny. I'm gonna hit this button again. So
Thank you.
let's
Thank
see
you.
what happens
Have a
here.
great day. Same to you.
I'm moving fast now, but I want to just try this, see if this helps, and then we'll come back and see if this worked. Okay. Shot 18. What are we thinking now, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go do the big reveal on the storyboard. The start frames. We're still on the storyboard. We should still have a few regenerating here, but we started our work on shot 13. So we got Jimmy John.
Yeah.
Now we got Shorty interjecting. Back to Jimmy John, back to Jimmy John, back to Shorty. And Jimmy John, Shorty.
Yep. Now on mine, it still shows how it originally looked. If I refresh, it is going to show the changes that you've made.
Yeah, it should. It
Okay.
should. Let me.
Now, can you walk me through a step that you did to where you changed that?
I will. Now I'll do the. I want to actually, just because we were in it, I'm going to fully fix this for you and then we'll dive in. So first of all, you should definitely all share your projects with us if we can help you, because sometimes it's not obvious, but it's relatively simple. So let me just go in and apply this fix here. I want to talk about what I think went wrong, which wasn't you, to be clear, but what went wrong, and then ultimately why I chose to address this way, how you can fix this if it happens to you. Yeah, this is totally not it either, although I see what it got messed up here, but okay. Jimmy John's voiceover, they're in it. Oh, okay. This actually, this did a good job. Shot 6, I'm impressed with the AI with the context there. That's actually pretty good. I'll
See
explain why.
that those shots right there are supposed to be showing the girls listening to what Jimmy John and Shorty are talking about.
Yeah, I think it did pretty good at that.
Right.
Yeah, I think it did good. I picked that up. I was like, for a second, I'm like, what? But I'll explain to you why I actually had that sort of trigger in a moment. I'm locked in fixing this for you. But once I'm done, I'm sorry I work this fast, y'all. I move extremely quickly, but I will slow down and explain what I'm doing in a second, and then we'll fix this one. Great. So it's all doing it. So, what do I think happened? I think somehow the AI passed in the wrong character behind the scenes with this. I don't know why. This feels like it honestly was a bug. And I think looking at our timeline of when you did this over the weekend, the plausible explanation for this would be we updated our system. Like the update you got from me Monday morning was our huge, big update to how we do start frames. And I'll explain to you how we did it before and why it was probably very frustrating for you. So what we did before Monday was when we created start frames behind the scenes, we were generating variants of your character. So essentially, like we would tell AI, hey, this is this character, make them look like in context of the scene. And honestly, we had good results from it in testing. And after a week of being live in beta, it was pretty clear that was not the right decision. So we reversed that change and then came out with a new change where instead of automatically doing this variation, we gave you control at the director's note level to create different wardrobes for characters, which you can do now in director's notes. If you wanted Jimmy John to look different in a different scene, you would create a new version of him and then apply that version of him to the shot, right? So that'll fix it. The thing is, I saw this, and the reason my sort of like Spidey sense went off is because I was like, something obviously went horribly wrong here. And it was one of two things, either a tech error, which in this case, this was tech, which by the way, Steve, I'll make sure to we'll give you back your coins for this after the call. I'll give you back some of those coins. So don't worry about it. You'll have anything you messed around with on that back.
Okay.
But that explains it. That is now resolved. So you guys should not have that issue anymore. If anything, you should have much higher quality start frames because you can control the characters at granular level. Marnie's actually an example of this. Last week, Marnie was like, I cannot get these start frames for the life of me to get to what I want. Now this week, with trouble, we got them there. So that is progress. I hope in another week or two, we're like, this is a lot easier. So that's point one. But point two is more nuanced and a learning experience, everyone, which is sometimes, right, these entities don't line up in a way in which it confuses the AI. So this is very straightforward, Steve. This is a great storyboard. I want to be clear. Like one character, one object, one setting is great. The AI does really well with that. And that's why you can see, look, I just one-clicked these changes and it did very solid. It could get confused. So this one, for instance, is two characters, a radio and a setting. It did actually remarkably well with it. Two characters is fine. Once you throw in an object and a setting, it sometimes gets a little weird. So my big thing for some folks would be if you're trying to generate two characters, a setting, and an object in the same image, and it's just not doing what you want, I would try and actually delete one of these. Likewise,
That radio could be deleted because, I mean, there's nobody sitting in that car listening to them.
I think it did a good job though, Steve. And I do think the variance was a little off. So what I'm going to do is regenerate it right now. Oh, I can even see a fifth object here, a drink. So yeah, that probably did throw it off a little bit. I'm going to try and regenerate it again just for the hell of it, because I think it's going to do a better job now with our update. Now, this one, what's confusing to this, the AI here, is we're basically feeding it in Jimmy John, Coach, House. I don't even know. I'm so impressed that it came up with this character here. Ultimately, the storyboard needs to be changed to include the character that we want in the start frame. And Jimmy John right now we haven't built this feature yet, but we're going to be adding a feature where Jimmy John can be off camera and you can have like off camera voices that explicitly are mentioned in the storyboard. Right now, like all characters are grouped together. It did pretty good. I think I like the other one better, but we can go back and change that right now. But yeah, essentially, if there's big issues in a start frame, you sometimes just want to play around with the objects in it and then save and regenerate. And you're more likely to get something you're happy with. And then the start frames are ideally for seeing the big story and then making little changes. Oh, actually, this one did do better. I like the new version actually a
Yeah.
little bit better. So there
Yeah.
you go. It's
Yeah,
doing,
that's the kind of shot I was looking for right there on them.
yeah,
They're just in their uniforms. They need to be in like t-shirts and stuff, but
oh, then here we go. Steve, now what you can do is go to the director's notes, go to Faithfully. She looks like one of the characters there. Destiny definitely is in there. And say,
yeah.
hey, Destiny, let's create a version of her and say, wearing casual clothes one would hang around the house in. Done. Now we can use that version for that shot so that we can create that shot for you with that wardrobe.
Okay.
The wardrobe will be generated in a minute. Here we go. So this is her wearing casual clothes.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. So then you can do that for some of your characters as you go in and make these changes. Yeah. And then, like I said, the off character voice thing is going to come soon. I can't give an exact timeline, but it's going to come soon. And lots more things will come. But at least on our topic today, that's probably what is top of mind. I know we're a little over the hour, but that was obviously a ton that we covered. So, what are folks' questions on all of that?
I'm just wondering, going back to the question about the setting and the background, if you go to on Steve's project, the two girls sitting in the kitchen, you notice how even when you go from the wide shot to the close up, the background is always the same. So it's always from the same angle rather than right there. They're looking at each other over the table, but then when we cut in close, it's the background hasn't changed, but the camera angle has changed. So I'm wondering, how would you fix that? How would you, obviously, like from that angle would be a different background. So the fridge would be maybe to her right or her left.
Yeah, right now that's not going to be easy with how we have it, but our next start frame update is going to make that a lot easier. So for now, you would play around in the start frame panel and use natural language. What we're going to be doing is essentially creating angles for you automatically generated, and you can then choose the angles that you want for each shot. So you can go in and say, this is the setting, this is the version of the setting, this is like the dining room at Christmas, and then this is the angle of the dining room that I want for that, if that makes sense. So that's coming imminently. That's what we're working on today. I can't promise that we're going to update it today, but this is our next update. In the meantime,
Look
I
forward
think
to it.
yeah, in the meantime, I think it'll just be a little challenging for you to do it. You can do it with prompting, but as you all can see, we're basically seeing where you all have the most trouble prompting and then try and not have you have to prompt at all or make it be really simple. Instead of having to prompt every single time the character's wearing, do it once up front and then just plug and play for the rest of the film. In this case, like instead of having to change every single shot, let's just build these camera angles in, baked in to it all, pick the ones you want, and you can generate a new camera angle if you want. That way you're not just adjusting the start frame with that. These are the things that we're adding over time. I guess we knew this, but movies are like a very specific problem, like from an engineering perspective. And it's like, now that we like piece the tech together, it really is like just tons of things to build to make this easier to use because all the power's here, right? And you can see it. That's why it's like tantalizingly close sometimes. And you're like, I just want to know how to do this. I know it's possible. And the answer is just like building a lot more different ways to make this simpler. I think each week we're getting closer to making this like a truly usable platform to make movies on. And that's what we're fully focused on. So I think, I don't know, I just have to put a timeline on it, but I think like by the end of the month, it's going to be like really close. Maybe we'll even be like there where I don't know if we'll necessarily publicly launch, but you'll be like, Michael, I've made my movie, or this is great. Like I have very little changes. Obviously, we're always going to be adding lots of new stuff to the platform, but ideally you're not blocked by anything. We're trying to take away the bottlenecks that are stopping you from making your movie. That's like our number one priority. It is wild. The world is changing. The world's changed a lot, and this people are gonna be thinking this about what y'all are doing with filmmaking, right? Yeah, it was a lot of information. I think you all can now see even how we think about developing the product very granularly, which I'm very happy to share. And like we're doing this together. So in terms of next steps, I'm gonna share the Luma calendar. We have more of these workshops. Tomorrow it's Maggie without me, which will be great. She's gonna do amazing. So that workshop takes place tomorrow morning. It's going to be introductory, so don't expect super advanced stuff. Maggie's amazing, but she's probably not going to dive into the master classes start frames as it is right now. But if you're looking for just a primer on the platform and to understand the overall process, she'll do great. Thursday, I have another advanced workshop. I actually don't even know what the topic's going to be yet, but I have some ideas that like will be very beneficial. So I do recommend you come. I think it'll be valuable if you can make it. Then trying to think, there's a million things happening, but what's important for you to know is that, as I mentioned, our number one priority is taking away the bottlenecks for you to make films. So if you hit a bottleneck that is like stopping you or it's confusing or tough, just reach out to us and we're like taking all this in to inform what the next thing is we're doing to improve it. And then next week, there's not going to be any workshops. We're doing a slight pullback from it because we're doing this as an experiment. But I've really enjoyed it, and I think we're going to be hosting more regular workshops. So expect the following week to get an update from me on what our regular workshop schedule will be that we will do into the foreseeable future. This week was just like, yeah, let's do 5 and let's see how it goes. But I recorded this, so it'll be uploaded to YouTube at some point, probably this weekend. But in the meantime, thank you, everyone. And as always, don't forget, storytellers rule the world. See y'all soon.